Welcome back to AM Northwest. You know, death is a part of life, but it can often be difficult to know what to say or do to help someone going through a loss. Here to share ways to support someone who is grieving, we welcome back our confidence coach, Laure Redmond. Good to see you. Grief is really a tough one to deal with, and everyone's going to have grief at some point, losing somebody, you know, the death of a mom or father or aunt, uncle, whatever it may be. And you say there's certain things we have to keep in mind when someone is suffering a loss like that and how we approach them, right?
Totally. It is probably the most unclear thing that people battle how to do right or well. And I think the thing to remember is no grief is the same grief.
Right.
So
it's all different.
It's all different. We all go through loss, but your loss is not like my loss. And so when people say, I know what you're going through, they really don't.
They don't.
But it's okay that you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
You know, you can actually understand at a deeper level that just their grief is not your grief. So actually you don't have to know what they're going through. And it's helpful if you don't act as if you do know what they're going through. So don't compare your loss to theirs, first of all.
That's a big one. I think that's really huge.
And most people will do that. Oh, I know what that is like. No, it's not the same.
Not the same. Every relationship is different.
Yeah, and every loss is different.
Every loss is different, there's sometimes, I've noticed this in the past myself, some people just disappear because they don't know what to do.
I know, and that is the worst thing to do.
Yeah.
If you have this fear that you're going to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, it's helpful to remember that just your presence is actually therapeutic.
Right.
And some people withdraw. Some people want to be together and hang out and have someone there. But if you can just really take away the idea that you need to do something, listening is helpful.
Yeah.
And also when that fear shows up, you will be directed by that person.
Yeah.
And this is trusting that they'll direct you.
Right.
And you don't avoid them. Avoidance is the worst. But also let them direct you, you know, and maybe they'll say, I need help with laundry.
Yeah.
Or I really could use help with my children or my pets or food. But please don't put an apple pie at their front door. Because I hear so many people say that, like, I don't want food left at the door. I don't want flowers left at the door. So let that person direct you. You can let them know by text, I'm here. Please let me know what you need, and they will let you know.
The just show up thing reminds me, so recently a friend of mine lost her mother after losing her dad, which happened very quickly. And I thought, well, I don't know, since I didn't really know her mom that well, knew the mom, but not that well, should I go to the funeral? Is it okay? So I showed up, and so did several other people, just showed up. She was so appreciative of just us, as you said, just showing up. We were there.
Yeah.
And that made a world of difference to her.
I
know, we were there to support her because now it's about who's living.
Yep.
Right? So just showing up, I think, makes a lot of sense.
I do too.
Yeah. You also say don't let denial or fear get in the way of reaching out.
Yeah. And so when people feel like they can't do it the right way, so they won't do it at all, that's missing the most important part, which is actually letting that person who's in that despair know that your presence is here as needed.
Right.
And let them know that you don't know what to say.
Right.
Or you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes just I love you texted.
Thinking of you.
Yeah, exactly.
You say don't underestimate the value of nonverbal communication.
And that's the hug.
Yeah.
You know, there's something about a real hug that can translate so many things. Also just to sit in quiet or go take a walk, or letting them really get out what it is they need to get out by crying.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when people cry, the other person feels awkward, but that's because they feel awkward.
Yeah.
And crying is one of the biggest expressions of grief.
Right.
And you really want to allow that to happen if it's happening, and not try to shut it down or cheer the person up or tell a story that's going to deter their feelings.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
You know, I feel like I've been in grief my whole life because I've had a lot of stuff in my life when I was younger.
Right.
And so few people knew how to just be in presence with me or to be in silence or to just give a hug and have that be enough. And so when you're the one in grief, it's so comforting when you're safe enough to show it or express it without someone trying to control it or shut it down.
Right, absolutely. Kindness, consideration, and unselfishness.
And you know, that was Emily Post's way of saying the best etiquette. So I often think etiquette is another way to show up for someone's grief. And I think those ways, if you just are kind
Yeah.
and you're compassionate and you show understanding and you're unselfish, it's felt, it's translated.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is an interesting one that you talk about not saying anything or commenting on how they look, how they appear, any of that, because that's not helpful.
And how often do people think to say, like, you look so tired or run down?
Clearly,
It's
we
like,
both heard that one. You look so tired.
no
Yeah.
kidding,
Yeah.
you know, like, yeah, but
Yeah.
you don't need to say anything. And the other part of that is not to push your faith or your spiritual
yeah.
power over them. Like, oh, my church has helped me. This person may not have any relationship to your faith.
Yeah.
So to think that's going to help, it won't.
It won't. I think also the line of she or he is in a better place is hurtful as well.
Or that everything happens for a reason. Those things can be so cutting and biting, and the opposite
Things
of
happen
supportive.
for no reason.
I know.
Yeah.
And I think one of the great things about talking about grief or talking about loss is that we want to make it a more common conversation.
Right.
And then the awkwardness and the ways that people suffer to help each other go away.
Yeah.
And we do all go through loss, and it's different types of loss.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Laure.
Oh, it's so good to be with you.
Good to have you with us.